Hello, so today I've got just a craft type video. I'm feeling a little bit sort of ill, not that bad, but it's nothing serious. You might be able to hear it in my voice a bit. So I thought I would do a bit of an easier video, something that would be chilled out, and I would make some paper flowers and more specifically paper hair accessories, as I thought they could actually be quite fun things to make if you're doing a cord, especially if you're doing something like country lolita or something, or even if you're just doing a completely different fashion. Flowers are quite universal. I'm actually thinking about flowers. It'd be really cool if someone did the 2010s Tumblr Girl flower crown thing, because if anyone remembers that thing, that permeated just mainstream fashion and lolita. But I essentially got this sort of inspiration from watching the film Emma. It was I believe it's the 2020 version, it's the most recent theatrical release, and I was watching the director's cut, or the section where the director and all the fancy cinema industry film people talk about the film in more detail, and I believe the director said that they actually got someone to make paper flowers for the hair accessories for Emma, because when filming, obviously if they used real flowers do wilt and they eventually die, and obviously filming takes a very long time, so with using paper flowers they could keep continuity and all of that. And I thought that was actually just a really fun idea to try and make myself. I thought paper flowers can't be that difficult. Now they probably won't look as nice as the ones on the film as they were made by professionals, but I am a creative person. I can do a few crafts, you know. I'm I can sew and draw and maybe even paper craft, triple threat. But anyway, I'm just going to go through a little tutorial on how I made the paper flowers, and maybe you might make some too and have a bit of fun with cords, because I feel this is actually quite an inexpensive, fun way to make hair accessories. I got this paper in the clearance in a local art shop. It was something like 75 pence or something. It was for a pack of 5 A4 sheets. It was actually old card making, you know, like a greetings card thing. So look at the bottom shelf, you may find a good deal. This wasn't on sale. This is just, oh, I'm an artist, so I have loads of kind of craft paper lying around. And I'm rambling again, let's get started. So I tend to use A4, A5. I tend to use A5 when I'm making the roses, and that is because I just like the size they come out with. You can make with a bigger size, but I'm just going to start off with the A5. So I'm going to start off with making a flower in white, and I'm just going to show you as if you had a white piece of A4 paper, as I feel that's what most people have available to them. So quite simply, we're just going to fold this in half. And then I like to use a scoring method, where you get a nail and you sort of just score it, and it will create a sort of quite deep indent. You probably see. And then what I would do is I would normally just tear it, but sometimes it goes wrong, and I feel because I'm on camera it will especially go wrong, so I am just going to use scissors. So the lines might be a little bit wonky, not that straight, but I feel that sort of adds to the sort of organic, natural feel, as flowers are a part of nature, and nature by design isn't symmetrical or perfect. So I feel it sort of adds to the sort of realism of a thing in nature that we're trying to replicate. So just going to cut here. It's going to be quite messy because I'm on camera and I feel nervous, and it's just how it is. So let's just cut this. So now I'm going to do the triangle method to make a square, and you're probably familiar with this. You'll just get the corner like this, and then you're just going to fold, make a little triangle, a nice little right angle triangle, and then I'm going to fold this little rectangle over to sort of see where I need to cut to make a square. Fold all that out, and then we're just going to cut along this line. Yeah, if I was clever enough, I would have done it Blue Peter style, and I would have done, here's one I've done earlier, so I wouldn't have to deal with the anxiety of trying to make decent content in real time. But anyway, here we are with a nice little good enough square, and we're going to further divide this into 4 more squares. So quite simply, we're going to fold it lengthways and widthways. So crease here, and oh dear, another crease here, and there we have 4 squares. I'm going to cut these out. So here we have 4 squares, and now we're going to fold them into what I call the sort of cucumber sandwich fold, where to me they just look like little sandwiches, but that's probably not what it's called. I'm just going to fold it like this, so you make a nice little isosceles sort of triangle, or to me a little sort of cucumber sandwich. And I'm just going to do that with all of the squares. Okay, so now we're going to do a sort of funny folding over each other of the squares, triangles even. So we're going to show you, we're going to sort of about halfway between this line. It's something you do by eye. I'm just going to fold it over, but we want a little bit of the end to be sticking out like that. And then you do the same with the other side, like that. And they're probably supposed to look a little bit more symmetrical than that, but if they look a little bit interesting like this, that isn't that much of a problem. And we're just going to do that for the other 3. So try and find the middle sort of, and make sure it's folded one side and the other side. Okay, so here comes the sort of fun part where you'll sort of see things transform into a flower, sort of. At least I find this quite fun, it feels quite transformative. So we're going to essentially cut out the petal shape to create our flower, and you can use a pencil or something and draw a template out. I tend not to, because then there's a pencil mark left on the flower and it's difficult to rub out, and I just can't be bothered. But essentially you're going to just create a sort of petal shape, and the main thing is to try and fit it in this sort of area. If you go obviously above, you'll get some petals which look a bit cut off and have quite a straight sort of petal edge to them, and I've done this many times, so I'll probably do it again. If that happens, that's why. And if it happens when I do it now, we'll just ignore it. It's fine. The power of nature. So we're going to sort of find around the end. Is that about a third-ish? Doesn't have to be too exact. And we're just going to cut sort of petal shape. Oh dear. Sort of the scissors probably could be a bit better. Just going to sort of end it at the same place, and so it's sort of a little sort of petal shape, and we'll just do that to the other ones. I feel the sort of haphazard nature of doing this and the asymmetry again really just feeds into the idea of it being in organic form and being something from nature, and it also just reflects the sort of natural human element to it. I really like human crafts, but very arts and crafts of me. It is really cool that we can replicate things really exact nowadays with technology, but some things I do really miss a human element for. It's kind of fun if you see in things like hand embroidery where you can see some small mistakes where someone made a mistake. There's something just feels really nice and comforting about that, and thinking about the effort that the person put into it, and just sort of the amazement and of achievement we can achieve as people. It's a bit like when you go to a museum, or I do, and you see like these really intricate artworks or just crafts from hundreds or thousands of years ago, and everything was done by hand. And I think it's just amazing that humans can do that. So anyway, we have our little petals, sort of a little teardrop shape, and this is where this sort of magic will happen. So we're going to open it up. It should make a flower shape like this. Now, if you notice, there's no hole in the middle, and that is quite important. So if I fold this back, we're going to get the end of the scissors, get the scissors and just cut off the end like this. And sometimes I'll open it up a few times just to make sure the hole is big enough, but that should be fine. Here's the flower. As you can see, it's a very sort of asymmetrical flower, organic shape. It works. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, look at me, I'm forgetting to actually show you what I'm doing. We're going to cut off the end. Bring it up. Now, here's a perfect example of what I was talking about. I haven't cut properly, and the petal has a sort of cut off shape. Now, if you have a few of these and you don't like how it looks, it's fine. You won't actually use all of the petals. So you can sort of choose which ones you like the most and sort of finesse it a bit. And here we are. So now we sort of need to make a descending order of petals. So you're going to have 6 rows to build up the bows. And so we're going to have one set, which is the full 6 petals, and then we'll have one set of 5 petals, one set of 4 petals, 3, 2, 1 equal point. So what I like to do is get the first 1 petal row done first, as I need to glue it down, and I kind of sort of set it and get it going. So the best glue to use would be hot glue, but I can't find the hot glue gun, and I wanted to make this at some point, so we're just going to be chaotic and we're going to use PVA glue. Now, I have tested this out and it has worked, and it's even worked when I've added the hair clip element to it, and it seems to stay as long as you let it set. Now, because I'm doing this quite fast, the glue may not set properly, so it will be quite flimsy, so this may not go very well, but if you do give it time, it can actually set completely fine. So I'm going to choose this one as the 6th petal, as it looks the best sort of thing, and I'm going to just get this one that looks like maybe the one which didn't fare the best. So I'm going to take a petal off here. And I'm going to choose this as the one petal one. So now we need our friend, ooh, the cocktail stick. So I found these in the drawer. I'm sure you can find them in the supermarket, perhaps. They're not that hard to find. And what we're going to do is we're going to curve it around like that. Obviously some glue, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this. Oh, quite a lot. It will all dry and a bit of a gluey mess, and this one is clear glue, which I was surprised at because normally PVA glue is white here. We can't normally get it in clear, or at least I haven't where I am. So to me that was a bit of a novel thing. So anyway, we're going to sort of spread it around and make a bit of a gluey mess really, and just sort of fold that in on each other like that. You can squish it a bit. I just kind of mash it together and try and hold it. And yeah, so it looks a bit messy, and that's fine. This is the first petal. No one's really going to see the inside. And I like to just leave that, give it a bit of a head start in the drying process so it's a bit more sturdy when I try and add all the other sort of petals on. So I'm just going to cut out all the petals in the order and then all of that. So there is the 6 petal. Let's say I'll make this the 5 petal. So what we do is cut on that, then we've got 5, but then we need to sort of make a join again. You can use PVA. I'm going to use I was going to say bâton d'école, which is like the French for it, said in a really horrible accent. What's it called? Oh, I think it's just called glue stick in English, like literally the same thing as in French. Yeah, so anyway, we're going to get some glue. I'm going to just sort of put it there, be quite liberal with it, and we're going to just sort of stick it like that. And then we've got that. One thing you can also do is getting a pencil or a pen. This is just an old paintbrush, and I'm going to just curl the edge like that. See? And that will imitate the sort of curled effect of petals that you'll get in a real life rose. Sort of evoke that imitation rose, artifice of nature, I suppose, sort of thing we're going for. And you're going to want to repeat that for every petal except for the 1 petal tier. So let's do that. Just get a little bit difficult when we get to the smaller sort of sections, but you just keep going. It's fine if it looks a little bit imperfect, at least it does to me. I feel like for an artist, I'm not perfectionist enough. It is a bit of a stereotype that artists are perfectionists, and I feel for an artist, I'm very much, it will do, it's fine. You know, don't fear perfection, because none of us are perfect. We're never going to get there. Yeah. Okay, so we have our floral sections. So what we're going to do is we're going to slot the cocktail stick from our one petal through the rest of them. And the thing to take note here is to alternate the petal placement. As if you look in nature, if you look at things like leaves or petals on a flower, they sort of alternate as a way to maximize capturing light for things like photosynthesis. So that's just one thing to replicate to sort of get that floral effect. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to slowly build it up. So that's one thing to not worry about, but just because the glue hasn't set, I haven't used the best glue, just you might need to finesse things a bit. So I'm just going to place that in. I always feel when it's like this, it looks a little bit like an orchid, and you can make a really tiny little orchid sort of thing. Or am I thinking of a lily? I might be thinking of a lily. This looks like some sort of plant, but like a really tiny version of it. Anyway, I'm just going to finesse that and keep going. And I'll just sort of move around the petals. But you can sort of see here we've got a floral shape, and for someone who probably did a decent but probably not the best job, it sort of still looks like a flower with a point across. So that is the sort of basis of it. So I'm going to put some PVA glue in between the layers just to sort of attach them, secure them a bit better, and then I'm going to leave it to set for a bit. Ideally you would leave it to set for quite a while longer than I'm going to as I show you, but we'll just sort of almost just place it sort of in the middle here. I'll just push that, just make sure the petals are still alternating. There we go. So that just secures it a bit better, and I'm just going to pop that to the side there. Or decide to stay. Should be, yeah, should be good enough. You can do a better job than this, but that'll do for now. So I'm going to leave it to set for a little bit as we make the petals, the leaves. So I'm making quite simplistic leaves. I've got some green paper here. I'm just going to cut out a general leaf shape, and I'm just going to do my eye And I suppose one convenient thing here is it is card, so it's folded over, so when I cut out like this, I obviously have two of the same shape, so that makes things a bit easier. So anyway, I'm pretty sure you know what a leaf looks like. I think there's many types of leaf. I didn't actually look at the shape of rose leaves, I just did a generic leaf shape. So perhaps I'm doing a completely wrong shaped leaf, and oh dear, but it's fine. Let's just cut out a generic leaf shape. Then we've got two leaves, and I like to make a hole in the leaf with a extra toothpick. I'm not planning it. Is this a chopstick? Maybe if you're just might, I don't know. I'm just going to poke a hole. Go. It's like you're giving someone an ear piercing with a needle, but it's a leaf with a toothpick. So significantly less hygienic. So we've got our flower here. Again, ideally you'd give it more time to set, but just to show you, just going to slot it through the hole here. There you go. So I like to have the leaves on either side, again to sort of go with that alternating leaves, maximizing sunlight sort of thing, but you can put the placement anywhere really. And sometimes I like to secure a little bit of extra glue, but I think because obviously the glue hasn't quite set, it's sort of seeping in to the leaves anyway, so I don't think I really need to worry about that too much. But I feel so essentially that looks like a flower, and you could leave it like this. You could have a sort of fun floral decoration to put in a pond pot or something, for example, or like me, my little mini cauldron. And you could leave it like that, but I'm going to show you how to make it into some sort of hair accessory. So what you'll need is these, just some sort of hair clip. It could be a different mechanism to this. This is just what I had going on in my house. So again, ideally this would be dry, so this may completely fall apart with my look, but I'm just going to cut most of this toothpick off. I'm going to leave a little section sort of on the other end just to sort of help keep it all together, but I'm going to cut most of it. So here comes the scary part. Oh, I bet you've used better scissors. Oh dear. Just sort of help it along a bit. There we go. And here is when you're going to place this and essentially just glue it with every inch of its life. I tend to just place it on one of the leaves like that. It tends to work nicely. So we're just going to put a bit of glue on the end of the hair clip mechanism, and then just going to place it on one of the leaves, sort of leave it there, and then you just leave that to dry. Essentially, just make sure it's folding place in place. Make sure it's in a position you want while it's drying. Make sure the sort of hair accessory doesn't sort of fall off, and ideally I would leave this overnight or something like that, just make sure. But essentially that's it. So I actually do have a finished one here. So you've got one here, we've done one in red, we've done one in white, and you can see here they have this one, well, they have been banged about a bit, haven't they? But yeah, the general gist. And you can see, although it is quite messy, so maybe it'll be this messy, but you can see that the hair accessory has stayed on. It isn't falling off, so you can use that. And if I'm clever enough, I will have put a picture somewhere of me using them. And an example of a bigger one I made in A4. I didn't make this one into a hair clip, I just left it as a sort of floral fun thing. I didn't store it the best as it sort of is a bit lopsided, but you can see the sort of size difference you get between A5 one and an A4 one. And that's it. Really. Yeah, go have fun. Make some flowers. Experiments. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid if the flowers look sort of lopsided or anything like that, as that's just part of the fun of improving. And I suppose show me the flowers you make, because I'm actually really interested when people actually follow my tutorials, because to me I feel sort of like I'm just talking to the ether. It actually does mean a lot when I see people have actually used my knowledge, and I feel like in a really tiny way I have changed the world and improved someone's life. And on that cheesy note, I will finish this tutorial. I hope you liked it, and yeah, bye!